Have you ever wondered why people act the way they do? Why a friend suddenly turns cold for no apparent reason? Or why you keep falling into the same relationship patterns again and again? Tonight, as you rest and drift towards sleep, we'll explore the hidden forces that drive all human behavior, the invisible currents that shape our decisions, our relationships, and our lives. My name is Emma, and I'll be your guide through the fascinating world of human nature, based on the profound insights of Robert Greene's masterwork, The Laws of Human Nature. Whether you're fully awake or already drifting into sleep, these ideas will find their way into your mind. There's no need to actively remember anything. Just listen and let the wisdom work its way into your understanding. Robert Greene spent years studying history's greatest minds, from ancient philosophers to modern psychologists. He discovered patterns in human behavior that repeat across centuries and cultures. These patterns aren't random. They're laws of human nature that affect us all. Understanding these laws isn't about manipulating others. It's about seeing people clearly, including yourself. It's about developing a kind of superpower, the ability to look beneath the surface and understand what's really happening in any human interaction. Think about how often we misread situations. We take things personally when they're not. We trust the wrong people. We miss opportunities because we can't see what's truly motivating someone. All because we don't understand these basic laws of human nature. Tonight, we'll change that together. As we explore these laws, you'll gain insights that can transform every area of your life. In your relationships, you'll learn to see beyond words to the true emotions driving behavior. You'll understand why conflicts really happen and how to resolve them at their source. In your work, you'll recognize the hidden dynamics that influence teams and leaders. You'll see how to navigate office politics without getting pulled into drama. And most importantly, you'll gain a clearer view of yourself, your own patterns, your own emotional triggers, your own hidden motivations, because self-understanding is where true power begins. These insights aren't complicated. I'll share them through simple stories and examples that make everything clear and memorable. Tonight's journey will take us through several fundamental laws of human nature. We'll begin by exploring our emotional nature, how feelings drive our decisions far more than we realize. Then we'll learn to see through the masks people wear, understanding the difference between their public face and private reality. We'll examine narcissism, not just as a disorder, but as a tendency we all share to some degree. We'll discover how compulsive patterns reveal true character, how conformity shapes our thinking, and why we sometimes sabotage our own success. Each law builds upon the last, creating a complete picture of human behavior that you can use to navigate your world more effectively. As we begin this journey, remember that understanding human nature isn't about judging others or ourselves. We all share these tendencies. We all have blind spots. By understanding the laws that govern our behavior, we gain freedom from them. If your mind wanders during our time together, that's perfectly natural. Your subconscious will continue absorbing these ideas even as you drift towards sleep. There's no need to force attention or try to memorize anything. I'll present everything in simple, clear language. No complex theories or difficult terms. Just practical wisdom you can apply to your everyday life. And I'll share stories that bring these ideas to life, real examples that show these laws in action. Now take a deep breath. Let your body sink a little deeper into relaxation. As your breathing slows, let's begin our exploration of human nature with the most fundamental truth of all. We are emotional beings. Section 1. Understanding our emotional nature. For centuries, humans have prided themselves on being rational creatures. We believe our decisions come from careful thought and logic. But modern science tells us something different. Our emotions drive almost everything we do. Think about the last important choice you made. Maybe it was about your job, a relationship, or a major purchase. You probably had logical reasons for your decision, but beneath those reasons was a feeling: excitement, fear, hope, and pride. These feelings guided you more than you realized. Robert Greene calls this the law of irrationality. Not because we're crazy, but because we're emotional at our core. Our rational mind often just makes excuses for what our emotions have already decided. Let me share a story that shows this law in action. Michael was the CEO of a growing tech company. He had built his business from nothing into a successful enterprise. Everyone saw him as brilliant and logical. One day, a competitor offered to buy his company for a fair price. His advisors analyzed the deal and recommended accepting it. The numbers made sense, but Michael refused.
Why?
He told everyone the offer wasn't good enough, but the real reason was emotional. Michael couldn't bear to give up control of his creation. His identity was too wrapped up in being the company founder. His pride and emotional attachment overruled the logical business decision. 2 years later, the market changed. Michael's company struggled, and he eventually sold for much less than the original offer. This happens to all of us, not just with business decisions, but everyday choices. We think we're being rational, but emotions steer the ship. So, what can we do with this knowledge? First, recognize your emotional triggers. When you feel strongly about something, especially anger, fear, or excitement, pause. These strong emotions hijack your thinking. Take a breath. Give yourself time before deciding. Second, watch for rationalization. When you hear yourself giving many reasons for a decision, ask, what am I really feeling about this? The true motivation is usually emotional. Third, seek emotional distance. Talk through important decisions with someone who isn't emotionally involved. Their perspective will help you see your blind spots. Consider this example. Sarah always rushed into relationships. She would meet someone, feel intense connection, and commit fully within weeks. Each time, she had logical reasons why this person was different from her past partners. And each time, she found herself in the same painful patterns. Her breakthrough came when she created a simple rule: no major relationship commitments for 3 months. This gave her emotions time to settle. It gave her rational mind a chance to evaluate the relationship more clearly. With this emotional distance, she finally broke her pattern. Your emotions aren't bad. They contain wisdom. They signal what matters to you. But when they operate unchecked, they can lead you astray. As you drift deeper into relaxation, imagine gaining a little distance from your emotions, not denying them, but seeing them clearly, like watching clouds pass across the sky. You notice them, but they don't control you. This awareness of your emotional nature is your first step toward mastery of human nature. When you understand how emotions drive behavior, both yours and others, you gain a new kind of clarity. Take another deep breath. Feel yourself becoming a bit more relaxed. Now, let's explore our second insight into human nature. Section 2. Seeing through people's masks. We all wear masks. Not physical masks, but social ones. The face we show to the world often differs from our private selves. Robert Greene calls this the law of role-playing. We play different roles depending on the situation. The professional at work, the loving parent at home, the fun friend on weekends. These masks aren't fake exactly. They're parts of ourselves we choose to show in different contexts. But sometimes, these masks hide deeper truths about who people really are. Think about someone you know who seems different in private than in public. Maybe they're charming in groups, but cold one-on-one. Or they talk about honesty but bend the truth when it suits them. These inconsistencies reveal the gap between their mask and their true nature. Let me tell you about James, a friendly colleague everyone loved. He always offered help, smiled at everyone, and brought energy to team meetings. But some people noticed something odd. When James helped others, he made sure the boss knew about it. When someone else succeeded, James would subtly point out problems with their work. Over time, a pattern emerged. James wasn't motivated by helpfulness, but by looking better than others. His friendly mask hid competitive, sometimes undermining behaviors. Those who saw through the mask protected themselves. Those who didn't were often confused when they ended up disadvantaged without understanding why. We all show different sides of ourselves in different settings. That's normal. The key is noticing when someone's words and actions don't align. These misalignments are windows into their true character. So how can you see through masks more effectively? First, watch for patterns over time. A single inconsistency might mean nothing, but repeated patterns tell the real story. Pay attention to what people do more than what they say. Second, notice how they treat people who can't help them. Many masks slip when dealing with waiters, assistants, or others seen as unimportant. This reveals true character. Third, observe them in stressful situations. Pressure cracks masks. When someone is tired, frustrated, or caught off guard, their deeper nature often shows through. Let's consider Maria, who dated Alex for 6 months. Alex was attentive, respectful, and generous. But Maria noticed small things. How Alex spoke sharply to servers who made mistakes. How Alex often told stories where others were wrong and Alex was right. The real revelation came when they traveled together and their flight was canceled. As Alex became stressed, the calm, kind mask fell away. Alex berated airline staff, complained constantly, and blamed Maria for small issues. This glimpse behind the mask helped Maria recognize a pattern of entitled behavior she hadn't fully seen before. Understanding the mask's people where isn't about becoming cynical. It's about seeing clearly. Most people aren't consciously deceptive. They often don't recognize the gap between their self-image and their behavior. This applies to you too. We all have blind spots about our own masks. As you grow more aware of others' inconsistencies, gently examine your own. Where might your actions not match your words? Where might you show different sides to different people? As you continue to relax and let these ideas settle into your mind, imagine developing a gentle, clear-eyed ability to see beyond surfaces. Not judging, just seeing what's really there. This clarity about others' true nature helps you make better decisions about who to trust, who to be cautious with, and how to interact more effectively with everyone in your life. Let your body sink a little deeper into comfort now. Our journey continues as we explore a universal human tendency. Section 3. The Law of Narcissism. We often think of narcissism as a personality disorder, someone completely self-absorbed and lacking empathy. But Robert Greene shows us that narcissism exists on a spectrum. We all have narcissistic tendencies. We all focus primarily on ourselves. This isn't a moral failing. It's human nature. We experience the world from our own perspective. We feel our own pain more deeply than others. We naturally place ourselves at the center of our personal stories. The problem comes when we fail to recognize this tendency. When we can't step outside our self-centered perspective, we damage our relationships and limit our understanding. Think about the last time you told a story about a conflict you had with someone. How did you describe your role? Most of us naturally cast ourselves as the reasonable one, the victim, or the hero. We minimize our contributions to problems while highlighting others' faults. Consider Thomas and Lisa, a couple married for 7 years. They came to therapy because of constant fighting. In their first session, each described their relationship problems. Thomas explained how Lisa always criticized him, never appreciated his hard work, and made unreasonable demands. From his perspective, he was patient and accommodating while she was critical and ungrateful. Lisa told a completely different story. She described how Thomas ignored her feelings, dismissed her concerns, and avoided meaningful conversations. From her view, she was reasonable and communicative while he was distant and uncaring. Both were convinced their perspective was the objective truth. Neither could see how their self-centered viewpoint contributed to their problems. Both were caught in what Green calls the narcissistic bubble, seeing the relationship entirely through the lens of their own needs and feelings. Their breakthrough began when they developed enough empathic intelligence to temporarily step outside their own experience, to genuinely see the relationship through each other's eyes. This didn't mean either was completely wrong. It meant both had valid perspectives limited by their natural self-focus. So, how can we overcome our narcissistic tendencies? First, recognize the bubble. When you feel completely right in a conflict, pause. Your certainty often signals you're trapped in your own perspective. Second, practice genuine curiosity about others' experiences. Not to debate or correct, but to understand how the world looks through their eyes. Third, look for patterns in your relationships. If you repeatedly face similar problems with different people, consider how your behavior might contribute. A simple practice is the perspective shift. When facing a disagreement, take 5 minutes to imagine the situation from the other person's viewpoint. What might they be feeling? What past experiences might shape their reaction? What needs might drive their behavior? Maria used this technique with her teenage daughter, who seemed increasingly withdrawn and hostile. Instead of focusing on her daughter's attitude, Maria imagined being a teenager again. She remembered the social pressures, the need for independence, and the confusion of that time in life. This shift didn't immediately solve their problems, but it changed Maria's approach. She became less reactive and more curious. She asked better questions and listened more openly. Gradually, their relationship improved as her daughter felt truly seen rather than just judged. As you continue relaxing, imagine your own narcissistic bubble becoming more transparent. Not disappearing, we all need healthy self-focus, but becoming permeable, allowing others' perspectives to enter, allowing your awareness to expand beyond your immediate needs and feelings. This expanded awareness doesn't just improve relationships. It gives you a competitive advantage in any situation. While others remain trapped in their limited viewpoint, you can see multiple perspectives. You make better decisions. You connect more deeply. You avoid unnecessary conflicts. Take another deep breath. Let these ideas settle into your mind. Now, let's explore a powerful way to understand character. Section 4. The Law of Compulsive Behavior. People reveal who they are through patterns, not through what they say about themselves, not through single actions, but through behaviors they repeat over time. Robert Greene calls this the law of compulsive behavior. We all have patterns we can't seem to break, even when they cause us problems. These recurring behaviors show our true character more clearly than anything else. Think about someone you know well. What patterns do they repeat? Maybe they always end up in conflict with authority figures, or they repeatedly choose partners who are unavailable, or they start projects with enthusiasm but never finish them. These aren't random events. They're expressions of deeper character traits and emotional needs. Let me tell you about Rachel. She was smart, creative, and well-liked, but she had a pattern. Every few years, she would suddenly quit her job and relationships and start over somewhere new. She always had good reasons: a better opportunity, problems with her boss, a desire for new experiences. But after her fourth major life restart, a pattern was clear. Whenever Rachel began to face difficult challenges or deeper intimacy, she would leave. Her pattern of running from discomfort revealed something her words never would. Despite her self-image as brave and adventurous, her character included a deep avoidance of vulnerability and perseverance. Understanding this pattern helped Rachel see her behavior clearly for the first time. She began making different choices, staying with challenges long enough to grow through them rather than escape them. So, how can you use this law to better understand yourself and others? First, look for repeated situations. When someone keeps experiencing similar problems with different people or in different settings, that reveals a pattern originating from within. Second, notice emotional triggers. What consistently causes someone to become angry, withdrawn, or defensive? These emotional hot buttons are windows into core insecurities and needs. Third, watch for contradictions between words and patterns. People often describe themselves based on their intentions or self-image, but their repeated behaviors tell the true story. Consider Michael, who couldn't understand why his relationships always ended the same way. Women would initially be attracted to his confidence and charm. Then, after a few months, they would become frustrated with his unreliability and what they called his selfishness. Michael didn't see himself as selfish at all. He was generous with gifts and compliments. But his pattern revealed his true character. He consistently prioritized his preferences, changed plans without considering others' feelings, and expected partners to adapt to his life, while he made few accommodations for theirs. His behavior pattern showed a self-centeredness his self-image couldn't recognize. Only by seeing this pattern could he begin to change it. Your own patterns can be harder to see. We all have blind spots about our recurring behaviors. One way to identify them is to look for situations where you frequently feel misunderstood or treated unfairly. Often, these reveal patterns you're contributing to without realizing it. Another approach is to notice your emotional reactions. When you feel intensely angry, hurt, or defensive, there's usually a pattern involved, a sensitive spot connected to deeper needs or past experiences. As you continue relaxing, imagine watching your life from a gentle distance. Not judging, just noticing the patterns. The relationships that seem different but follow similar arcs. The problems that appear in different settings but share common themes. Seeing these patterns isn't discouraging. It's empowering. Patterns you can see are patterns you can change. Let yourself drift a bit deeper now. Feel any tension melting away as we explore our next insight. Section 5. The Law of Conformity. Humans are social creatures. We have a deep need to belong. This leads to one of the most powerful forces in human behavior, conformity. We adjust our thoughts, opinions, and behaviors to match the groups we belong to, often without realizing it. Robert Greene calls this the law of conformity. It explains why rational, independent-minded people can think and do irrational things when part of a group. Think about fashion trends. Hairstyles that looked normal in the past now seem ridiculous. Not because they're objectively worse, but because group standards changed. We rarely question the trends of our own time. We simply absorb the beliefs of those around us. This happens with opinions too. Studies show that people will deny obvious facts when their group believes something different. Not because they're weak-minded, but because social connection feels more important than abstract truth. Let me share a story about conformity's power. In the 1950s, psychologist Solomon Asch conducted a famous experiment. He showed people a simple line drawing and asked which of 3 comparison lines matched its length. When answering alone, people got it right 99% of the time. It was an easy task. But when placed in a group where actors deliberately gave wrong answers, about 75% of real participants went along with the incorrect group opinion at least once. Many conformed every time, denying what their own eyes clearly showed them. This same dynamic plays out in our lives daily, in more subtle ways. We adopt the political views of our social circle. We embrace the priorities of our workplace culture. We adjust our language, interests, and behaviors to fit in. This isn't always negative. Conformity helps societies function. It creates shared values and cooperation. But unchecked conformity leads to dangerous groupthink and prevents positive change. So, how can you maintain independence of thought while still connecting with others? First, develop awareness of group influence. Notice when your opinions mirror those around you. Ask yourself, would I think this if I had grown up in a different place or time? Second, seek diverse perspectives. Deliberately expose yourself to people with different backgrounds and viewpoints. This helps you see which of your beliefs come from conformity rather than personal conviction. Third, practice standing apart in small ways. You don't need to be different for its own sake, but small acts of independence build your ability to resist unhealthy conformity. Consider Elaine, who joined a new company with a workaholic culture. Everyone stayed late, worked weekends, and bragged about their lack of sleep. Though she initially resisted, within months Elaine found herself doing the same, canceling personal plans, checking emails at all hours, and feeling guilty when taking time off. Her health and relationship suffered. Her turning point came when a respected colleague left for another company, citing the unsustainable culture. This gave Elaine permission to question what she had conformed to. She gradually established healthier boundaries, working effectively without sacrificing her well-being. To her surprise, rather than being rejected, several colleagues privately expressed admiration for her balance. Some even began following her example. Her small act of nonconformity created space for others to break free as well. Throughout history, the most innovative thinkers weren't necessarily the most intelligent. They were those able to resist conformity enough to see things differently. Einstein, Marie Curie, Steve Jobs all faced resistance because their ideas didn't conform to prevailing beliefs. The same applies in everyday life. The ability to think independently, to consider group wisdom but not be blindly bound by it, is an increasingly valuable skill. As you continue relaxing, imagine strengthening your inner compass. Picture yourself listening to others with openness while maintaining your ability to think independently. Feel the confidence that comes from knowing which values and beliefs are truly yours. This balance, being connected to others while maintaining your independence, is a rare and powerful achievement. Let your mind drift gently now as we explore one final aspect of human nature. Section 6. The Law of Self-Sabotage. Have you ever known someone with amazing potential who keeps getting in their own way? Or perhaps you've sabotaged your own success at times. This common pattern reveals another law of human nature. We often work against our own interests. Robert Greene calls this the law of self-sabotage. We create internal resistance that prevents us from achieving what we consciously want. We procrastinate on important work. We pick fights in otherwise happy relationships. We overspend when trying to save money. These behaviors seem irrational, but they stem from complex emotions and hidden beliefs. They reveal the gap between our conscious desires and our deeper, often unconscious needs. Consider David, a talented writer who wanted to publish a novel. He had great ideas and writing skills. Everyone who read his work encouraged him. Yet year after year, he never finished his book. His pattern was always the same. He would start with enthusiasm, write several chapters, then find reasons to stop. Sometimes work got busy. Sometimes he convinced himself his idea wasn't good enough. Sometimes he switched to a new idea that felt more exciting. David's conscious mind wanted literary success, but something deeper was creating resistance. After reflection, he realized he feared both failure and success. Failure would confirm his secret fear that he wasn't good enough. But success carried its own threats, higher expectations, public criticism, and change to his comfortable identity as someone with potential. Once David understood his self-sabotage pattern, he could work with it rather than being controlled by it. He created external accountability. He developed rituals to work through resistance. Most importantly, he addressed the deeper fears driving his behavior. Within 18 months, he completed his novel. We all have areas where we sabotage ourselves. The key is recognizing these patterns and understanding their emotional roots. So, how can you overcome self-sabotage? First, identify your patterns. Where do you consistently fail to follow through despite genuine desire? Look for similarities across different areas of life. Second, explore the hidden benefits of your current behavior. Self-sabotage always serves some emotional purpose. protection from failure, maintaining a familiar identity, avoiding uncomfortable growth, or something else. Third, create systems that work with your psychology rather than against it. External accountability, environmental changes, and small habit adjustments can bypass your internal resistance. Think about Maria, who wanted close relationships but always created distance when people got too close. She would become critical, start unnecessary arguments, or simply grow cold and withdrawn. Her breakthrough came when she recognized her pattern and its emotional source. Growing up with an unpredictable parent, she had learned that emotional closeness wasn't safe. Her adult mind wanted connection, but her emotional brain still triggered protective distancing. Understanding this didn't immediately change her behavior, but it allowed her to recognize when her self-sabotage pattern was activating. She could tell partners, "I'm feeling the urge to push you away right now. It's my old pattern, not anything you've done." This awareness itself changed the pattern. By naming her self-protective response, it lost some power. Gradually, she built greater capacity for closeness without triggering her self-sabotage mechanisms. The law of self-sabotage shows us that we aren't unified beings with single purposes. We contain conflicting desires and fears. Success often depends not on trying harder, but on understanding and working with these inner conflicts. As you continue to relax, imagine observing your own patterns with kind curiosity. Where might you be creating your own obstacles? What fears or beliefs might be driving these behaviors? Just allowing these questions to exist without forcing answers can begin the process of change. The greatest self-mastery comes not from rigid control, but from deep self-understanding. When you see your patterns clearly, you gain the freedom to choose different responses. You align your conscious desires with your deeper emotional needs. As we approach the end of our journey, let these insights settle into your mind. Allow your body to relax completely. Lastly, we've traveled through 6 fundamental laws of human nature. Each offers a window into why we behave as we do. We learned that emotions drive our decisions more than logic, that everyone wears masks that both reveal and conceal their true nature, that narcissism exists in us all, limiting our perspective until we develop empathic intelligence. We explored how compulsive behavior patterns reveal character more clearly than words, how conformity shapes our thinking in ways we rarely notice, and how we often work against our own success through complex patterns of self-sabotage. These insights do more than satisfy curiosity. They offer practical wisdom for navigating your world. When you understand the emotional nature of decisions, you make better choices by creating distance between feeling and action. When you see through social masks, you form relationships based on true character rather than surface charm. When you recognize narcissistic tendencies in yourself and others, you develop the rare skill of seeing beyond your own perspective. When you identify behavior patterns, you can predict likely outcomes and change your own limiting cycles. When you notice conformity at work, you maintain independent thought while still connecting meaningfully with others. And when you understand self-sabotage, you align your actions with your goals by addressing the deeper fears and beliefs that create resistance. Robert Greene studied centuries of human behavior to identify these patterns. They've always existed, but now you have names for them. You can see them operating in your life and relationships. This awareness itself is transformative. What you can see clearly, you can navigate wisely. As you drift towards sleep, imagine moving through your world with this deeper understanding. Picture yourself responding to challenging situations with new insight. See yourself making choices aligned with your true goals. Feel the confidence that comes from seeing human nature clearly. Tomorrow, you might notice one of these patterns at work. You might recognize an emotional reaction driving a decision. You might see beyond someone's social mask to their true character. Or you might catch yourself conforming to group opinion without questioning it. When this happens, Simply observe with curiosity. No judgment is needed, just awareness. Each recognition strengthens your understanding. Each insight builds your wisdom. The laws of human nature aren't tools for controlling others. They're windows into understanding. They help you see the invisible forces that have always shaped human behavior. They allow you to respond with wisdom rather than reaction. Tonight, as you fall asleep, let these insights work on your mind. Let them reveal new possibilities. Let them guide you toward greater mastery, not just of others, but of yourself. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of human nature. May your dreams be peaceful, and may you awaken with fresh insight into the fascinating patterns that make us human.